Emiko's perspective. I sit in the meeting room, looking at many puzzled, expectant faces. I am one of 4 people sat at this table who know why this meeting has been called, the others being Fran, Twiller, and the captain. Ambassadors Yesh and Ong are here, sat beside me to my right. Victor, Toon, and Samus are here in their capacity as the ship's security. Zon and Admiral Yakchut are here, representing the UTC and GU militaries, respectively. Terrans are in the unique position, galactically, for having the right to maintain a military independent of Galactic Command, for obvious reasons. Leon and Ziva are here, looking professional. Then there are some faces you might not expect. Master Yuan, Quitch, Mouse, and Baobo for their technical expertise. Doctors Gatto, Xing, Fan, Hart, Elliot for their hopefully unnecessary skills. And, of course, our latecomer. The door opens, and through steps Wakwak, 15th daughter of High Spire Peak. She hops on the perch set out for her, her facial expression and body language neutral. I try not to let my irritation show as I clap my hands together and say, "All right, now that we're all here, why don't you tell everyone what this is about, Captain?" She straightens her back and brings out her wings slightly, to visually indicate herself as the speaker. It's not really necessary in a room with only one other Aquali, but I guess it would be helpful in any kind of consortium of her species. All stood on perches. It might be hard to tell, otherwise, who is speaking? I suppose the alternative would be dismounting the perch to distinguish yourself. Yes, well, I shall introduce, but I think it is my shipboard manager who will have the most helpfully comprehensive outline of the situation. So, I'll keep my part brief before I pass you over to her. She extends her wing to Twiller's holograph. The short version is that we're being followed, and we have reason to believe it is either the same assassin who attacked our party on Citadel and killed the Terran representative to Parliament shortly after our departure, or an associate from the same organization. The dismayed shift that goes around the room is audible. Someone decides it needs to be verbal as well. So we're all traveling aboard a ship that is marked for death by Death World terrorists. That's just wonderful, spits Wakwak contemptuously. If you are unhappy with our current predicament, sister, you are welcome to terminate your employment and take the shuttle to convey you to the nearest inhabited planet or space station. I'm sure that our dear coordinator here will be so kind as to waive the punitive termination clauses in your contract for you, under the circumstances, answers Taqual coolly, indicating me. Her clan sister only grumbles in response. Hoping to keep the peace, I smile. Would you fill us in on the finer details, Twiller? Her holographic avatar stands and calls up a projection of our current quadrant of the galaxy. Citadel is on one end, in the galactic core, and from it extends a solid purple line. Our current position is indicated by a bright purple dot, and the rest of the journey to AG 107-90263b is represented by a ghostly, transparent purple line. So, she winds our journey back almost all the way to Citadel. The first time I picked up this ship was here, roughly 10 hours after we had left the capital. Obviously, at the time, I didn't think anything of it, since that area is literally the single most congested part of the galaxy. There were tens of millions of ships in the same radius, and we hadn't yet received the news of Mudaliar's death. Then, she winds the map forward. Here's where that news reached us, and another fast forward. Here's where that ship came to my attention again. You see, I realized that it should have overtaken us by that point, but rather than doing so, it has slowed down and fallen in behind us. Not necessarily suspicious. There could be a number of reasons a ship captain might reduce their steam, but it made me uneasy, so I ran a little test. She zooms in massively. Last night, we came to a fork in the space lane. For our destination, I ought to have taken this turn, but I took this one, as if we were headed for Girial territory and beyond.
On your simple suspicion, you diverted the entire ship hours out of our way without consulting any members of the crew, machine, snarls Wakwak disgustedly. You forget your place. You ought to be decommissioned for this insubordination.
Out of the corner of my eye, I see Victor's outraged face and body language, and, remembering that he was raised by an AI from his background check, I made to cut him off before he says anything rash to the tiresome woman. I'm beaten to the punch, however, by Tequal.
Sister, Twiller is my employee, my friend, and a citizen of the Galactic Union, vested with all the rights that entails. It is most certainly against the law to murder crew members for simple, unapproved deviations from course in the GU, is it not? Also, not that it matters, but she had my approval before she undertook this action. Do not be so quick to assume things.
Seething at the effortless undermining of her authority, icily delivered by her junior, the elder Raquali says nothing. Looking back from the woman he came a hair's breadth from exploding at just now, seeming satisfied that Twiller's honor was sufficiently defended by their employer, Victor asks,
So, I assume we took the next left turn back onto the right track, and they did as well, in a way that wouldn't have made sense if they weren't telling us, Twiller.
Exactly, Victor, smiles Twiller. Though, there isn't really such a thing as left in space. I took the next galactic north turn.
You'll have to forgive my navigational laymanship,
he quips back.
So, what are we thinking?
Maybe we could call the authorities and have them board it, suggests Toon. There are a few problems with that. I smile kindly at her. First, the evidence we have, though it seems quite conclusive to us, would sound fairly flimsy if we try to relay it to a third party. They might wave us off as pranksters, or think that we're being paranoid. Second, there is a possibility that our shadows here don't actually know that Lamo and I are aboard, and that broadcasting that information may lead to them marking us as their actual target. Third, there's the possibility that, if we can get the authorities to take this seriously, the ship goes dark and we don't see them again until they're bearing down on us. Right, obviously. Sorry, adorns the blue-skinned girl, gently beating her temples with her upper fists, the left of which is adorned by a sparkling ring. You have said nothing to apologize for. It was a sensible suggestion, Toon, I reassure her. She smiles.
Could we outspeed them? Make them lose our trail?
Shrugs Xuan nonchalantly, clearly not caring at all if he sounds foolish with regard to the particulars of interstellar travel. Not possible, I'm afraid, answers Twiller. While I can't tell the make and model of the ship they're in, at this range, I can easily tell its maximum speed is higher than ours. Even if we could surprise them long enough to get out of their sensor range, it would take weeks for our ion trail to dissipate, sufficiently for them to not be able to track it anymore. If we were to play that game with them, we would be risking leading them straight to the new planet. Which is something we obviously want to avoid, states the Tibetan woman on my right. I don't know exactly how a Terran supremacist organization would react to news of a new Death World species, but I think the two most likely possibilities are that they'll either try to recruit them as allies or exterminate them as rivals. Both are pretty much worst-case scenarios.
So, we can't outrun them, and we can't get the authorities involved. What does that leave?
Asks the Golinog ambassador. Well, I have a plan, offers Twiller, tentatively.